The story begins in a small town called Buffalo in New York, where we meet a young and highly intelligent girl named Peg. From a very early age, Peg had a clear dream. One day, she would start her own finance company. One day, she presented her business idea to her mother, Kathy, and her brother, JJ, and even asked her mother for some money to help her get started. Instead of supporting her, they laughed at her ambition. Her mother told her that this was the age to focus on studies, not business. When Peg refused to drop the idea, Kathy became angry and told her to stop arguing and quietly finish her dinner. Peg was constantly thinking about ways to make money, while children her age watched cartoons. Peg preferred watching television programs about business ideas. While other kids asked their parents for pocket money, Peg learned how to earn money herself. Her goal wasn't just to make money. She wanted to become like Warren Buffett. She dreamed of getting into an Ivy League college, reaching Wall Street, and earning massive wealth so she could finally escape her poor life. Eventually, she started making and selling chicken wings from home. The first time she saw the money she had earned on her own, she felt immense happiness. But that happiness soon turned into an even stronger hunger for more money. Gradually, that same hunger began pushing her toward the wrong path. As Peg grew older and entered senior high school, her obsession with money only increased. Along with her brother JJ, she began selling cigarettes at school for $1 each. One day, when a boy demanded a free cigarette and threatened her, Peg refused to back down and confronted him. However, when they heard the school principal approaching, everyone quickly ran away. Later that day, Peg returned home and began counting her earnings. Suddenly, her mother rushed toward her, shouting in excitement. Peg had been accepted into a university. Her hard work had finally paid off, and the whole family celebrated her achievement. But in a shocking turn, Peg refused to enroll. She wanted to study, but she knew her mother didn't have enough money to pay the tuition fees, and she didn't want her to take out a loan and struggle under debt for years. Determined to find a faster way to earn money, Peg came up with a risky plan. The very next day, she began selling fake tickets for a football match. Using her sharp selling skills and persuasive talking ability, she convinced people to buy them and earned enough money to cover a year's college tuition. But her success didn't last long. The police soon found out, and Peg was arrested for selling counterfeit tickets. The following day in court, she met Graham, a prosecutor working for a major law firm. Graham argued strongly against Peg and requested a minimum sentence of 9 years. During the hearing, Peg's lawyer even clashed with the judge. Ultimately, Peg was sentenced to 46 months in prison for fraud. At such a young age, her dreams and her reckless decisions had already landed her behind bars. Even after reaching prison, however, Peg's personality didn't change. Even while serving her sentence, Peg kept thinking about only one thing: how to make money. Inside prison, she met an inmate named Francis, who told her that it was possible to sell goods within the jail. That was all Peg needed to hear. She immediately started her own small operation, selling items to other inmates, and her business began to grow quickly. However, her success did not go unnoticed. One day, an older inmate named Barker, who had been running her own business there for years, attacked Peg to teach her a lesson and protect her territory. After the incident, Peg called her mother. During the conversation, she learned that all her savings had been wiped out due to court expenses and lawyer fees. On top of that, her family was now buried in debt. Hearing this made Peg furious. 3 years passed, and eventually she was released from prison. But because of her criminal record, no one was willing to give her a job, and she never got the chance to continue her education. For the time being, she started working as a cleaner at her brother JJ's bar. One day, while they were sitting at the bar talking, JJ received a phone call. It was from Sal, a debt collection agent. JJ had borrowed around $2,000 per Peg, and now Sal was demanding repayment. Peg took the call herself and spoke to Sal. She learned that although the debt was $2,000, if it was paid immediately, there would be a significant discount, reducing the amount by $5,000 in penalties and fees. During their conversation, Peg also discovered that collection agents earned up to 10% commission on recovered debts. The job instantly intrigued her. Since she already had strong sales skills, Peg confidently told Sal that she understood how this business worked and could do the job well. Impressed by her sharp thinking and persuasive tone, Sal invited her to visit the office the next day. When Peg arrived, she hoped to secure the job. While she was speaking with Sal, the office boss, Wiz, walked in. After observing Peg's understanding of debt recovery and finance, Wiz was impressed. He introduced her to the office environment, explaining how everything worked. There was a large board displaying each agent's name along with the amount they had collected that month, as well as their targets. Seeing the board sparked an idea in Peg's mind. She turned to Wiz and said, "If I work for you and reach the top of that list, will you forgive my brother's debt?" Wiz smiled and told her that reaching the top was no easy task, but she was welcome to try. And so Peg began working as a recovery agent. The job was far from easy, Every day, she had to make countless calls, persuading people to repay the money they owed. Much of this debt had already been written off by banks and later sold cheaply to collection agencies, which were now aggressively trying to recover it. Peg made her first call to a high school student who owed $5,000. As soon as she brought up repayment, he refused. But Peg firmly warned him that if he didn't pay, she would inform his mother about the debt and collect the money directly from her. Frightened at the thought of his family finding out, the boy quickly arranged the funds and paid the full amount. That first successful call boosted Peg's confidence immensely. From that point on, she worked relentlessly, setting clear goals for herself. Slowly but steadily, she climbed the leaderboard. Before long, she reached the very top. As promised, JJ's debt was forgiven. Everything seemed to be going perfectly. One day, Wiz handed Peg a file involving a 20-year-old debt and told her that if she managed to recover it, she would receive a 10% commission. Despite the age of the debt, Peg decided to give it a shot. When she called, an elderly woman answered the phone, the wife of the man who had originally taken the loan. During their conversation, Peg learned that the husband had passed away. Realizing the case wouldn't be easy over the phone, Peg decided to visit the woman in person. She carefully brought up the issue of the debt. The woman argued that her husband had taken the loan, not her. Peg responded calmly but firmly, explaining that although the loan was originally in her husband's name, the responsibility had now passed on to her, and if unpaid, it could eventually affect her children. It would be best to settle it now. Peg's words pressured the elderly woman emotionally, and she ended up paying the debt. Afterward, Peg approached Wiz and asked for her promised 10% commission. But slowly, the truth began to unfold. In reality, Wiz and his team had already collected money from that elderly woman before. She was suffering from memory loss, and they had taken advantage of her condition to collect the debt multiple times. At that moment, Peg began to realize that the business she was thriving in was far darker and more unethical than she had imagined. It turned out that the elderly woman had been charged again and again for the same debt. Without realizing it, Peg had become part of a fraudulent system. Wiz had been running a scam, exploiting a vulnerable woman's memory loss. When Peg discovered the truth, she felt deeply disturbed. She left the office and went straight to JJ's bar, where she told him everything about Wiz's dirty operations. Just then, Prosecutor Graham arrived. Despite having once pushed for a harsh sentence when Peg was caught selling fake tickets, believing it would help her change, Graham was actually a decent man. He had been working with the police to crack down on illegal debt collection agencies across the city. He warned Peg that Wiz was dangerous and that she should stop working with him. It was clear that Graham also had a soft spot for her. Using the information she had gathered from Graham, Peg came up with a bold idea. Why not start her own recovery agency, but run it her way? She immediately began planning. For this, she needed capable people. She hired Francis, her former prison acquaintance, whose soothing voice alone could persuade people to repay their debts. Then she brought in Prakash, a talented salesman, followed by Jin, a sharp Chinese woman who once convinced her landlord not to raise rent for 50 years. Surprisingly, she even recruited Barker, the same inmate who had once attacked her, because Barker was highly efficient when it came to handling deliveries and pressure situations. Now, Peg needed debtor files to begin operations. She decided to buy them from Mitch, Wiz's own brother. Since the two brothers were already at odds, Peg cleverly took advantage of the tension and secured the files through a deal with Mitch. She set up her new office inside a beauty parlor and began training her team. Within days, thanks to proper training and aggressive strategy, her company started performing exceptionally well. They were recovering debts efficiently and earning solid profits. But Peg's rapid success enraged Wiz. He saw her as a direct threat to his business. He began sabotaging her operations, cutting off electricity at her office, sending goons to intimidate her staff, and even targeting Peg herself. Still, she refused to back down. However, Peg soon faced a serious financial dilemma. She had just enough money either to pay her staff their commissions or to purchase more debtor files. Believing in long-term growth, she chose to invest in new files and paid Mitch every last dollar she had. Her team was disappointed, but Peg assured them that this sacrifice would bring bigger profits in the future. To lift their spirits, she treated her staff to a football match with VIP seats. But during the event, when Peg went to the restroom, she was attacked. Someone splashed blood on her. Confused and shaken, she returned to the office only to find it completely trashed. All their debtor files and documents had been stolen. Peg instantly knew Wiz was behind it. Panicked, she received a call from JJ. When she rushed to the bar, she found Wiz and his men waiting. Wiz had seized the bar because JJ had mortgaged it while taking a loan. Peg was furious, but knew she couldn't act recklessly. This time, she needed to be smarter. She dressed sharply and went to meet Graham. After charming him with polite conversation, she waited for him to step out. Then, pretending to be his secretary, she used his office phone to inform the police anonymously about illegal activities happening at Wiz's office. Soon, the police raided Wiz's place. While Wiz and his men were detained, Peg and her team secretly entered his office and retrieved both Wiz's files and their own stolen documents. With that move, Peg's agency was back in business. This time, she paid her team their full commission. But Wiz eventually found out and threatened to completely destroy her. Though afraid, Peg didn't retreat. Francis even gave her a gun for protection. The next day, Peg noticed Graham following her. Shocked, she confronted him. He revealed that he knew she had made the anonymous call from his office that led to Wiz's arrest. Peg was visibly nervous, but just then her mother, Kathy, invited them inside for breakfast. Kathy disapproved of Peg's debt collection work, and Graham supported her concerns. He shared a painful story about how his own grandfather had taken a loan for medical treatment, only to have ruthless collectors seize all his property. By the time they could fight the case legally, his grandfather had passed away. In the middle of this tense conversation, JJ arrived home injured. Yet Kathy blamed Peg for his condition as well. As the argument escalated, Graham then discovers an old debt document, the same one belonging to the elderly woman suffering from memory loss. He realizes that Peg had collected money from her multiple times. This was the same collection Peg had unknowingly made while working with Wiz. The two begin arguing, but suddenly, the police arrive. During a search of the house, they find a large amount of cash that Peg had hidden. However, the blame falls on Kathy and JJ, and both of them are arrested. Later, it is revealed that Wiz had orchestrated everything to trap Peg's family. Furious, Peg storms outside Wiz's office and fires a warning shot into the air, using the gun her friend had given her. Hearing the gunshot, Wiz comes out, and a brutal fight breaks out between them. Peg beats him badly, but soon the police arrive and arrest her for firing the weapon. Graham manages to get her out on bail and advises her to quit the dirty debt collection business and choose an honest path instead. But Peg is burning with revenge. This time, her family had been targeted. Determined to end it once and for all, Peg gathers all the debt collection agencies in one place, including those who once worked with Wiz. The next day, they all assemble at JJ's bar. Peg delivers a powerful speech, urging them to unite and build a massive recovery empire together where everyone profits. Her words influence them all. Even Wiz agrees, believing partnership is more profitable than rivalry. But suddenly, Wiz notices something strange, a hidden camera inside a bull statue. He realizes Peg has recorded everything. It's a trap. Just then, the police arrive and arrest everyone. Peg successfully brings down not just Wiz, but the entire illegal collection network. However, she has one final move left. Peg heads straight to Graham's office. She tricks the secretary into leaving by sending her out to prepare for a party. Then she calmly enters Graham's cabin and searches until she finds several boxes filled with debtor files, worth nearly $1 billion in total. Without hesitation, Peg pours alcohol over them and sets them on fire. A peaceful smile spreads across her face as the flames rise. Thousands of people are now free from crushing debt, but burning official case evidence leads to her arrest once again. She is sent back to prison. Fortunately, her sentence isn't very long, mainly because she also burned files connected to powerful judges and lawyers. This time in prison, Peg is different. Instead of chasing money, she teaches fellow inmates about financial freedom and smart money management. Eventually, her sentence ends, and she is released. Outside, her family and friends welcome her warmly. They still believe in her. To help her start fresh, they collectively give her $2,000. Peg becomes emotional. Everyone is curious. What will she do next? Suddenly, she rushes to the restroom, struck by another brilliant business idea. This time, she plans to make money from the wealthy by stepping into the stock market. And with that bold thought, the movie comes to an end. So friends, that was the complete story explained. Now I want to know from you, how did you like this movie? Did Peg make the right choices? Or did her hunger for money always push her too far? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. And let's set a target of 1,000 likes on this video. If you enjoyed the explanation even a little bit, make sure you hit that like button right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because many more powerful and exciting stories are coming your way. See you in the next video.